in for a good show, Gavin.
Yeah, me too. Welcome to the Towing Life podcast, where these two handsome fellas discuss the good, the bad, and the ugly as we see it. I am TowManG,
And I am PlainGuy.
and this is our life.
Guys and girls, if you have any subjects or questions you would like covered on the show, you can let us know by emailing us at thetowinglife@gmail.com or by searching at the Towing Life podcast on Facebook. Your input and or experiences is always welcome, guys. Absolutely welcome. As we know in the industry, it is all about learning from each other, the stories we tell, and everything in between. That being said, G, how are you today?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you?
I'm doing all right. It is nighttime here. It is off the clock time, and we are here to discuss the good, the bad, and the ugly. Why don't you start us off with some good, G, this week? What do we got going on?
Well, this week we kind of wanted to go more in depth on the times we give people breaks and why we give people breaks and the good that we can do, like put into the community by doing so. Mm-hmm. So the other day I had a boost at the Walmart and I showed up and my battery pack was dead. So
a prepared tow truck driver.
Yes, very prepared. That's a communal truck. So that's my excuse and I'm sticking to it. Anyways, so I put it on the car. The car didn't start. I was like, okay, you know what? I'll put the pack on my truck and charge it up because the jumper cables for my truck don't work. Anyways, so I let the pack charge up for a minute or two. I put it back on their car. Their car fires up and this guy walks up to me. He was like, my car needs a boost over at the A&W. I was like, okay, man, I'll just follow you over there and I'll give your car a jump. And in the back of my mind, I was like, I hope this pack's got enough juice to jump 2 cars. So I drive over there, put the pack on his car, and he was like, how much do I owe you? I was like, I was already here, man. Don't worry about it. He was like, oh, well, I got to give you something. So he gave me $20. And I was like I said, thank you, but I wasn't expecting anything. He was like, no, you're doing me a solid, man. I was like, well, you're welcome. That made me feel good. And I know he felt good about it because he's on his way and he didn't have to go through the hassle of calling in to anyone and getting a tow truck sent out to him.
Well, not to mention, think of the good that does for the company, right? At that point, you were representing the company. Yeah. And when that guy is not having a good day now and he's having a bad day, he's going to remember the tow truck driver that gave him a boost and didn't charge him or wasn't going to charge him.
On those calls, you always want to make sure you give him a business card. Always.
Absolutely. I'm a big believer in, you know, we all, you know, unless you live out in the country with no neighbors, which is a situation like you. Yeah. But I know there's a lot of guys out there like myself who live and we have neighbors. One of the most important things to do is keep your neighbors happy. Yeah. Right. Whether it be by law, because, you know, they could call by law because you're not allowed to have your truck at home, any of these things. It's not worth the hassle. Could you fight it? Maybe, depending on the zone, depending on the region, everything, but it's not worth the hassle. I am a big believer, and I have told the company that I work for this, and they have supported me. Any of my neighbors come to me that require a service that does not require me to start the truck, meaning, you know, they lock their keys in their car, they need a boost, even changing a tire. I'm not charging them. I am not charging them because those neighbors, those customers who see my truck every day, right? If you were to charge the guy that needs an unlock that lives 2 doors down because the company is greedy, I guarantee you that is going to hurt you more in the long run than it will help you.
I used to live right in the main intersection of the town where I used to work, and my neighbor was a gas station. So I had a couple times people come over and bang on the door. I'd be in the bathroom or sitting watching TV, eating dinner. It doesn't matter. And be like, oh, I locked my keys over at the gas pumps. Would you mind coming and unlocking my car for me? And every time, I think it happened a total of 3 times, I walked over and I said, oh, don't worry about it. Like it is what it is. Like this is a pro to have in my truck, the main intersection. It was good publicity for the company. And it's 100%. Just a billboard. Normally it's a driving billboard. Now it's a stationary billboard when I'm at home.
It was just a pain in the ass. Everyone knew you lived there that ran into problems at the gas station.
Even if I was on my night off, they would still knock on my door. And I'm happy to help because I like to be able to help people. That's one of the reasons why I got into the industry. So I'd always go over and unlock their car. Or they say, oh, I need a boost at the gas pump. And I was like, well, I think you might need a tow, but we can try it. I'll walk over with my pack and give you the benefit of the doubt. But
How many times do you see that, right? Yeah. You know,
yeah, I need a boost. Oh, where are you? Well, I'm on the side of the highway and my car died.
my battery light
Okay.
came on, which means my battery's dead. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are not in the towing industry and you are listening or watching this, your battery light coming on your car does not mean that your battery is dead. It means there's a fault in the charging system and your battery is going to become dead.
Yes.
You do not need a boost. So please take that into consideration when making whatever arrangements you are making.
So what about you? Do you have any feel good stories when you cut people brakes?
I had one not too long ago. I like that one. It was a weird story. It was just a fluke coincidence. I'm driving down the road and I get a call for a roadside. So I'm coming by a gas station. I said I'm going to pull over into this gas station to get the details on where I'm going. Mm-hmm. When doing that, I happen to look down at the details, and the details are for a boost at the gas station that I just pulled into so I wasn't on my phone while I was driving. It's a good thing
you pulled over, or else you would have driven right past it.
Pretty much. Which this time it was a boost at a gas station.
Wow.
This guy had an old truck, a beautiful, old, 80 something pickup, fairly well maintained, but he was having problems with the battery. And, it was one of those times that it just needed a boost. I think it was bad connections, but it needed a boost. So, first of all, my response time was phenomenal. I was like under a minute. The guy literally just hung up on the dispatcher. Dispatcher sent the information and I was pulling in the parking lot. So he was pretty thrilled. So I set him up with the boost. Everything was good. He gets fired up. I'm sitting in my truck. I'm doing paperwork. And this gentleman comes up to me, knocks on the window and says, "Hey, I locked my keys in my van. What's it going to cost me?" And I remember just telling him, like, "I'm right here. I'll go do it." First of all, that guy just paid me through a roadside. I'm here anyways. I got nothing to gain, nothing to lose from this. So I walked over and I unlocked his van, and it was the same thing. He threw me $20 and he said, "Man, you saved me a, $65, $75 service call."
Yep.
And it feels good. There's no reason to take advantage of that person in that situation. The only time you're doing that is if you are very greedy or you are starving.
Yep.
And if you're starving, I won't judge you for it. We all got to make money at one point, if you are just greedy, you're there, you've already gotten paid. How long did it take to get your lockout? I think I would like to assume that 85% of the guys on the road would do the exact same thing that I did.
I would hope so. Faith in humanity restored, I hope.
Absolutely. Guys, we did not get in this to, most of us did not get in this to screw over people. You have to enjoy helping people to a certain extent. I know we talk about this just being a job and guys not really caring, but you have to, no operator out there can tell me that he doesn't have a story where someone was super great for something that made him feel good inside.
It's like, I had this call the other day and the guy called in, he was paying cash. And he told the dispatcher that it was a two-wheel drive vehicle. And I get there, he broke down on a shop, but he didn't want to be at that shop. He wanted to be at another shop in town. So I get there, I pick up his Hyundai Tucson, I think it was. I picked it up and I looked underneath of it because check these things, even though someone says it's two-wheel drive, always double check.
Did you say it's a Hyundai Accent?
Tucson.
Oh, Tucson.
Like 2005.
Thought there was, I know they're making some weird all-wheel drives, but I don't think there was an Accent all-wheel drive yet.
Anyways, I popped out from underneath the car and I was like, "Hey, buddy, do you know that your car's all-wheel drive?" And he was like, "I had no idea." He's like, "Oh, well, I'm normally supposed to charge you an extra fee for that because I got to sling these dollies off the truck." And he was like, "Oh, I don't know how much is that going to be?" I was like, "Well, it's probably going to be about $100 to get you there." It's like, "Oh, that's pretty steep." I was like, "Well, I'll see what I can do for you." So I get the dollies underneath the car and he needed a ride. So I put him in the back seat. This is during COVID, right? We're both wearing a mask. I take him over there, drop him off at the Canadian Tire. I think he wanted to go. And I cut him a break and I charged him, I think, $10 more than what a standard two-wheel drive would be instead of the 30 or whatever dollars.
Get something for the dollies, right?
And he was super thankful. But at the end of it, he was still rude to me because I charged him more than what he was quoted. But at what point do you say, "Well, I'm sorry, we can't quote that over the phone with the information that we got was wrong"?
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
I felt good about myself giving you a deal, And I'm sure
you still shit on me.
Yeah. But I think that rolls us into the bad a little bit better there too, of what can and can't you quote over the phone, and where's the leeway in that, right?
No,
I know I think it's with a written quote, you can't go 10% more, but what about a verbal quote over the phone?
Is there any a verbal quote, in my opinion, you know, the customer calls in, they give you the best information they can. You can give them a starting at. Yep. Here's what it starts at, and it goes up from there.
Yep.
And you know, because how many times will somebody tell you, I'm 10 feet off my driveway? They're 100 fucking feet in the back field. I'm just off the driveway. Like hell, you're off the driveway. You were off the driveway, around the corner and down the block before you called me, and then you buried it extra good.
Oh, I thought I could get myself out. Okay, so what did you do? Well, I just kept doing what I was doing. Oh, so the thing that got you stuck in the first place. Yeah, that's what
I thought eventually I'd get some traction.
Yeah, maybe when you hit China.
So quoting on the phone is tough. Do you call a mechanic and say, my car is sputtering? What's it going to cost? No, you don't do that. No. Mechanic can't diagnose over the phone. They can give you an idea. Your battery light's on. Okay, could be your alternator. Right? We can give you the best information we can, but at the same time, you can't quote off the phone. We had a very similar situation with one like that. I remember, I don't know if you were around. It resulted in a negative Google review. And we quoted a Caravan, 2-wheel drive, tow mileage, everything was good. I got there. This thing is nosed up against the garage. It was a Caravan. I don't know if I knew where the neutral override was on it. Anyways, it made more sense to dolly it than to mess around. Yeah. Mess around. Steering wheel was locked. Everything else, then messing around to try and get around to it. I'm going to dolly it.
Yep.
And so we notified the customer at that time. It was his wife, I believe, that was on scene, that, hey, it's going to be over. It's going to be an extra whatever set dollar amount. I don't remember what it was at the time. And, he agreed to it. We had his credit card. We charged it. Everything was good. And then we get the Google review. And it came back along the lines of, everything was great up until the point they showed up and they wanted to charge me more than they told me. And because they had my credit card number already, I felt I didn't have a choice. I went, well, first of all, you always have a choice. You always have a choice. Right? Had you voiced any concern with us over the phone, you worked for the same company I did, we would have put you at ease at why we were doing. If you didn't want the service, we probably would have charged you a cancellation fee. It probably wouldn't have been the full price of the tow. We might have even waived it just to keep good relations. But for you to go and post a review, right? Because you were misquoted because you gave us the wrong information.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's going to come down. You're going to see a lot of dispatchers that to solve that, what they're going to do is it's the starting at, guys. That's the important part. Starting at. Our winches start at this price. The driver will assess it and will give you a price before we get started, because you can sign that estimate, because in Ontario, you need to have a signed written estimate that you cannot vary outside of 10%. I want to say it is. Just like a mechanic shop wouldn't be able to quote you $400 and then finish the repair and come back to you and go, oh, by the way, it was $800.
Yeah.
They can come back to you midway through and go, this is what's going to happen. This is what the estimate is going to be. We need you to sign off. A tow truck can do the same thing.
Yep.
So, it's starting at. I think that is a very important thing to remember, guys. Starting at, this is the price. This is what we charge. Drivers assess and drivers charge accordingly.
So that bad Google review hurts the company, but that was a customer that did that. What happens if an employee hurts the company by something they post online?
Oh God, were you around for that? We're not going to get into the details of that story, but you were around for that?
I caused.
You know what I'm talking about.
I caused one. I towed a van for a brewery and I posted it and I got in shit for it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So as employees, the one thing you want to avoid, or at least talk with your company about, is what their social media policy is. Because especially, it's one thing with everyday Joe breakdowns in cars.
Cover up the plate, you're good to go. Right?
What's that? Yeah, cover the plate. even at that, as long as it's not an accident or you're not sitting there going, look at this piece of shit, it really shouldn't be much of an issue. But when you started to get into your accounts, your commercial accounts, those are the people that tend to not take well to that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But no, you got to watch. It's a dangerous thing. Social media is free advertisement. It is an amazing tool that companies need to keep in mind when it comes to promoting their business, especially in small towns and even more in big towns, right? Where you're competing with so many other people. Social media presence is important. Drivers, especially if you are not in a private group, and even if you are in a private group, Gavin, you can remember instances of things that were posted in private groups that had repercussions that came back to the companies we work for. Myself, I don't know if you were involved on that. People at the place you work now were, all because we were criticizing a company in the comment section of a thread on what we thought was a private group, and the company in which we were criticizing, which in all fairness, the system that we were dealing with at the time was so frustrating and a joke. Yep. But drivers posted comments, and that company was calling their owners and saying, have your driver remove this, or we're going to have to, there will be repercussions. I don't know what the threat
I remember that.
Yep.
I remember that. That was a good time.
That was a very interesting time in a very common towing group. Yeah. And a lot, myself included, got my fingers slapped. I know a couple people that got their fingers slapped for it, which I don't agree with.
We were fighting for not having their photos presented, wasn't it?
That was a certain roadside we had.
Yeah.
When you would dispatch a call, they would get the information, first, last name, and photo of the driver that was attending. They were looking at very much the Uber side of things.
Yeah.
Which I am all for customers wanting to feel comfortable.
Yep.
Right. And it is hard because all of, as the towing industry in a whole, especially in the province of Ontario, we have a major problem. And that problem is that every decision that gets made for the province of Ontario is because of the Greater Toronto Area. Whether that decision be good, bad, or indifferent, it's based on, the Greater Toronto Area. They are the hub. So this was brought out because I could see it downtown Toronto and everything. Like I said, you're trying to match up to that Uber. We came from a small region of 22,000 people.
Yeah.
The fact that they had my name first and last, that really bugged me.
Yeah.
Really bugged me.
So and my photo, I'm 30 minutes late and you got nothing better to do, what's a quick Google search of my first and last name? You got my picture to confirm that you're creeping the right guy. Right?
Yeah. Yeah. You have the picture to make sure that is the guy you're talking about. You can creep. You can, if you are not happy with the service, whether you be right, wrong, or indifferent, you can make that person's life. And we see cancel culture all over the internet and everything else going on, and trolls are massive. Yeah. You can't give that kind of information out without our consent. We didn't even know about it.
No,
that was probably the worst spot. The roadside in question never even had the nerve to tell us that ahead of time. And we fought on that, and that did not last very long, if I remember right. I think we refused to use their dispatching software until they fixed it.
Yeah, I think we didn't use their dispatching software for about a week.
Mm-hmm.
Our full company did. I think we're a company of 6 drivers at the time. Just stopped. Yep. I'm not sure how many other companies did it, but we made change. Whether that was us ourselves or a group of us that were all on the same page, we don't know because we don't have that unison in the industry. But it is what it
but
is.
You see, even in a small company like that. But yeah, no, it goes back to the, it's crazy the information that's out on the internet. Hell, we're on the internet, G.
We are. We're putting ourselves out there. Please don't criticize us. Not in the bad way, at least.
but no, absolutely. And like I said, social media is a great free tool and a free advertisement for companies. But as an owner, I encourage you to implement some sort of social media policy. And it's tough because I know your drivers and your operators have a passion for what they do, so they love putting photos up. I think it's that personality that leads into towing. Right. But drivers, think twice about what you post before you do it, and trust me, save yourself a little bit of a headache.
Even if it's just messaging your boss and saying, "Hey, can I post this?" before you post it. If they don't get back to you for a day, don't just go and post it anyways, thinking, "Oh yeah, they'll think it's okay." No, there's a reason why you're
it's
asking.
easier to beg for forgiveness than ask for permission. Does not
Yeah.
apply in this instance, ladies and gentlemen.
Because it can hurt you and the company you work for. So you don't want to lose your job over a Facebook post.
So that being said, the last thing that you want to do is yourself any disfavors. And that's what leads us into the ugly, honestly, is doing yourself no favors. Bad health habits we develop as tow operators. Right? Yeah. I feel like such a hypocrite in this sector already because I do all of them.
Yeah, me too.
I do all of them.
Yeah.
But guys, there are some tips that we will get to on things you can do to kind of help out. But G, give me a bad habit you have that you do.
So
and that you probably wouldn't do if you weren't a tow truck operator.
I never had this habit before, but in our office, Mothers Against Drunk Driving put one of those chocolate boxes in their office.
The boxes you put the toonie in that nobody puts the toonie in.
Yeah. So instead of putting the $2.50 it is now for a chocolate bar, I just come in with a 20 and say I'm good for 4 now, and I take 2 and I eat them in the shop, or I take them in the truck with me. But I would never stop at a convenience store and get a chocolate bar. But since it's right there, I do. And now I'm seeing myself.
G, let me correct you here. You just said you dropped $20 in and you're good for 4 and they're $2.50 a chocolate bar.
Oh.
You want it?
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Man.
I've been tipping them well, haven't I? I guess I could take the whole next box for myself.
Mothers Against Drunk Driving absolutely love you.
But we all do it. It's we all just drop a bunch of money into it and then take whatever we want when we want. Right.
Yeah.
And it's a very bad habit, but it's right there. Just like if you smoke. I know I worked with a towing company and every single driver smoked. And over the course of 2.5 years I worked there, I went from half a pack to a pack a day to 2 and 2.5 packs a day. Like, it was bad. I quit smoking now. I vape now, which is it better? I feel better in the morning, but we're not here to get into the details of that.
We are here to get into it. We're here to get into the healthy habits.
But it's always better to find healthy alternatives to that habit. If you can replace a bad habit with a better habit, even if it's not a great habit, as long as you can make those steps to make your life better and healthier, you're doing all right.
I've always been a big believer in that because we are in a job that, we spend a lot of time sitting, depending on, the range. Myself, I cover a lot of mileage.
Yeah.
I don't do as many calls in a day, but I cover a lot of mileage. So what I'm seeing is, I'm spending a lot of time sitting.
Yep.
So the odd time, any way that you can get your exercise going, anything that you can do is better than what you were doing. Mm-hmm. Meaning, right? It brings us to tip number 1, eating clean. You talked about the chocolate bars.
Yep.
Whether it be there or whether it be when you're at the convenience store, guys, how many times do we fuel up? We go inside, we pay for our fuel, grab a chocolate bar, grab a little bag of chips, grab, God forbid, a Rockstar or a Monster, right? Get that water. Grab some almonds instead of a chocolate bar.
When I go in and pay for my fuel, I buy 2 cases of water every once in a while.
Yep.
And I keep it in the back seat of my truck. And the Dodge that I have, it's got 2 vents in the back seat, so it keeps the water nice and cool. And you got the AC going on. And now I've got water to give to customers that they've been sitting on the side of the road. I drink a case. So look at me, I'm a big guy. I drink a lot.
Giving the customer a bottle of water on a hot day when they've broken down
goes a long way.
Will do you wonders.
And I also give them to my coworkers who say they don't drink water. But if you give them a bottle of water on a hot day, they normally end up drinking it.
Yeah. But same thing, grab, a lot of gas stations now, guys. I know we've lost out on a lot of food at gas stations. Gas stations used to prepare food, and now very few have it, but they normally have the little salads. They normally have the little cheese and egg or, little pre-meal kind of things. Yeah. Grab that rather than a hot dog. By avoiding all of that processed crap, you will, you're doing yourself a favor. Yes. You may not go from a 300-pound tow truck operator to a 150-pound operator, but every good that you can do will benefit you. It's better than what you were doing. Yeah. You talked about the water in the truck. That brings us to a great second point. Stay hydrated.
Oh yeah.
Summertime, especially, guys, we know it's easy to. It's easy to stay hydrated in the summertime. It's a lot harder to stay hydrated in the wintertime, and nobody thinks about that. Right? Summertime, you're sweating buckets. Man, customer offers you a cold bottle of water. I've slammed it. I do the same thing. My lunch kit is mainly water bottles. I put 3 in the freezer the night before. I get 3 frozen bottles, 3 regular bottles, and normally a Powerade or something. Just something for a little bit of, electrolytes and mainly sugar more than anything else, but something, other than water. But in the wintertime, how much coffee do you drink in the wintertime, or hot chocolates compared to the summertime?
I used to be really bad. I used to drink like 10 extra large cups of coffee from Timmy's every day. I've cut back to 1. I have 1 on my drive in to work in the morning, and maybe 2 if I've had 1 at my house, and then get that. And just that alone, cutting down on that milk, because I don't do cream, that milk and sugar and that out of coffee made me feel better too. It's all those little things. Instead of getting 2 of those breakfast sandwiches, get 1 of the wraps instead, or get a bagel instead of getting extra cream cheese on it. Get it the bagel belt from Timmy's, so at least you're getting a bit of lettuce and egg and whatever. The lesser of 2 evils, if you will.
That's the point I'm trying to make. It's the lesser of the evils. I don't expect you to go from driving on the road 12, 14 hours a day eating gas station food to being a vegan. It's not what I'm trying to say here, but we already beat our bodies up enough. You've talked about it on previous shows, how operators who are 40 years old look like they're 60.
Yep.
Because the wear and tear. Do yourself that little favor. And I've done the same thing. I've gone, I don't feel as guilty because I drink my coffee black. So again, there's no cream, there's no sugar. The caffeine still dehydrates you a bit. But
you like double cups. That's bad for the environment.
They won't give me a double. Tim Hortons will not give me a double cup anymore. They always give me a sleeve. And you know what? I used to be the guy. Yeah, absolutely. You remember it. You would not drive by a Tim Hortons without grabbing a coffee.
Yep. Especially anyone listening in the shop.
That's a Dunkin' Donuts in Canadian speak.
Yeah.
But I would not drive by one without stopping for one. Now, the odd iced coffee. I like an iced coffee in the afternoon, especially in the summertime. I fancy now.
Do you drink at Starbucks now too? Does your tow truck fit through the Starbucks drive-through?
I don't know where the closest Starbucks is.
Oh.
My wife would know. I don't know where the closest Starbucks is. By the way, Starbucks has this thing. Gentlemen, if you are looking to start a fight with your wife, this is completely off topic. If you are looking to start an argument with your wife and she loves Starbucks, they have Timbits on a stick. They don't like to call them Timbits on a stick because they pay about 8 times the price of a Timbit for them. They're called cake pops at Starbucks. Tell them they're Timbits on a stick. Get back to me at thetowinglife@gmail.com. Let me know what kind of fight that starts.
How many black eyes did you have? 1 or 2?
Yeah. So the third thing was, guys, is improving your posture. Like I said, I do a lot of mileage. How many times you guys see guys sitting way back, leaning back? Those cushions that you laugh at for your back, they help. You and I both know a guy that we won't mention on here, that worked for us and drove a flatbed, whose back is done. The tow truck does him no favors. And it's a lot of the posture and everything. And if you take the time, especially as younger operators, to improve your posture when it comes to sitting, when it comes to lifting, when it comes to doing a lot of the things we do, guys, that stop thinking we're goddamn invincible. I know not everyone's like that. I know a lot of you guys are responsible about it, but there is a lot of these young guys. I was one of them that came in and said, I can do all of this with no sleep and no water and lots of coffee. And all you're doing is tearing up your body. If you guys want to continue to do this and you want to prolong, you got to do a couple things to help yourself out. Posture is a big one.
We're riding around in trucks with 8 to 10 leaf springs in the back, bouncing around down every bump. It's not doing you any favors by slouching. That's for sure.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
My one manager, he's got memory recall seats in his tow truck because he's fancy that way. And every time you hit that unlock button on the key fob, the seat reclines way back. And I like to sit up fairly straight. So it's
how many, hey, wait, getting on that subject, how many customers' cars do you get in to boost?
Oh.
And you sit and you push I'm a big man. I'm 6'1". I'm 275 pounds, give or take. I think I'm being generous. And I get in this car, this Mercedes, and I put my foot on the brake and I push the button, and it starts to crush me because the lady sitting there who I'm boosting is about 5'2", 90 pounds soaking wet. And you're reaching for the buttons and you're panicking and you're trying to. Those auto memory seats will be the death of a tow truck operator one day. I promise you.
100%. We'll take out a couple steering wheels and then they'll realize. I wonder what kind of safety feature they have, kind of like a window if it goes up. And
I wonder how far I can get into this before to go and release a little bit.
Once I become one with the steering wheel.
So to go over a bit of a recap, guys, on everything that we went over today. We went over, tow truck operators are great at helping people out. Guys, don't be afraid that small gesture you can do. We don't expect you to work for free all the time, but small gestures can go a long way.
We do this every day. People who deal with tow truck drivers don't deal with tow truck drivers every day. Make that experience with us memorable.
Absolutely. And don't make it memorable on social media, though. So remember, keep in mind what you post, guys. Talk to your supervisors, talk to your owners, talk to even your dispatchers. Get a little bit, make sure that you are not going to put yourself in a bad spot.
Yeah. Hot water, no good.
Yeah. A mad owner is a bad day. And guys, remember, any good that you can do for your body, for your posture, for your diet, everything, any good you can do is going to benefit nobody but yourself.
Small changes. You want to be around for your family longer, right?
Yep. Absolutely. For your kids, for everything. That's what we're here for.
Right.
Reminder, guys, if you have any subjects or questions you want covered on the show, you can let us know at the towinglife@gmail.com or by searching at the Towing Life podcast on Facebook. Your input and or experience are always welcome. We really want to hear from you guys. This show is by towers, for towers, and we want to hear back from you guys on things that you want us to talk about, things that you want us to cover.
Let us know where you're seeing us, where you're seeing us, where you're getting us. If you're on YouTube, just drop a comment down below. Let us know
if
there's anything.
If you're on Spotify or any spot that you get your podcast, feel free to send us an email, thetowinglife@gmail.com. Yeah, I know you can find us. I know how email works. We all know how email works at this point. That being said, I am PlainGuy.
I'm TowManG.
And thank you guys for tuning into our show. We will see you next time. Take care.
Have a good one.